So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Senator Rosa Galvez, appointed in 2016. She's a leading environmental advocate in the Canadian Senate, championing policies for a sustainable future. She basically wants to make sure that the financial institutions and industry prioritize climate. CCL Canada fully supports her private members' bill to align Canada's financial system with COP26 commitments Canadian financial institutions made in Glasgow in 2021. Senator Galvez's dedication to environmental issues continues to drive significant legislative advancements toward a greener, more sustainable Canada. I'm personally honored to welcome her to our conference. Senator Rosa Galvez.
Thank you so much. Can somebody show me the thumb to tell me that everything is okay? Excellent. Okay. So first, thank you so much for this kind invitation. I'm so always happy to talk to just people. It is so important. What Catherine said is that we need to talk more among us. And it's true, we are the convinced one. But we need to talk to the people that think alike with us and that are basing their opinions on the facts and on the science, because otherwise it could be very lonely in our corner when we seem to be always swimming against the current. And, Catherine is a champion swimmer, and I totally agree that we need to do the work in order to get to the goals. So I'm here to tell you first from where I come from. So I come from Peru. And I really am, Catherine said that she's scared of next election. Well, take it also from me, from a Peruvian, that see how in Latin America we have corrupted governments and governments that go by a certain type of ideology that is not based in any fact or in any science. And that they are really going for partisan patronage and giving favors here and there to ensure more elections. So it could be very bad. And we don't need to go far to Peru. We just need to go south and see what's happening in United States. So I am here to tell you about what's going on with my bill. But before that, let me make you a little resume that will complement what Catherine said before me. So we have already passed 10 climate change plans on mitigation since the 90s. There were multiple governments, and unfortunately, all these years, all these decades, Canada has never reached its emissions reduction target goals. And it's true that it's very different to talk about the intensity, which is tons of carbon per barrel of oil, and the total emissions that we are producing as a country, as a nation, and even it's now worse if we consider now the forest fire that is causing so much emissions and health problems. So Canada is one of the highest per capita greenhouse gas emitters in the world, with the average Canadian emitting roughly 3 times the global average. But also at the same time, Canada is warming 2 times faster in the meridional region, and our Arctic is warming 5 to 7 times faster. And we are now witness to what extreme weather events can do in Canada. Just to a little parenthesis, I have gone into the Arctic with the Navy, Canadian Navy, and the captain at that time was showing me the problems that are seeing them with the erosion of coastline, with the moving indigenous people, Inuit communities, first to the shore, then after to inland, and all the permafrost that is melting and the methane. And so they are all aware. Many people is aware, but I think that they are also scared because they are not politicians and they don't know how this information is going to land with respect to the work that they do. On the sustainable finance front, Canada is seriously lagging behind both our commercial peers and our developed group of nations like the G7, the G20, and especially we are lagging 6 years behind Europe's Green New Deal, 2 years behind Europe's Green taxonomy, 3 years behind Norway, which is using its sovereign funds not only to transition to a low carbon economy, but also is contributing with $1 trillion to protect the Amazon. We are behind US, who passed a couple of acts, the Job and the Inflation Reduction Act, in order to conduct its transition to a low carbon economy and renewable energy projects. We are behind China's Shanghai Stock Exchange initiative that are making them cut their coal and attaining their electrification earlier than what they expected. So this lagging behind our commercial and partners and peers is impacting our financial sector at various fronts. So take, for example, insurance. Right now, the Insurance Bureau is telling us how much every year extreme weather events are costing to their industry. And every extreme weather event now, it's $500,000 to $1 million to 1.2 billion. And the thing is that when you ask to the government, like I sit in the National Finance Committee, and I asked the government, do you have money put aside to these unexpected extreme weather events? And the answer is no. And this is the issue with the climate risk, which is a systemic risk, and it's radical because on one hand, if I ask you guys, do you think there is going to be an extreme weather event in Canada that is going to be very damaging in terms of the health of or essential infrastructure? And you unanimously are going to say, yes, we know today that we are going to experience extreme weather event. But if I ask you where or which type, then you don't know. And how the extent of this extreme weather event, we don't know. So this is the issue with the climate-related risk and climate change risk. It's like somebody in another conference asked me, can you please give us an image? And I said, well, it's like you are driving very fast in a car. You are 180 kilometers hours. You are in a bumpy road, but you are looking at the rear mirror in order to drive. That's completely unsafe. But this is what we are doing. And this is what most of the people that business as usual, traditional finances is doing, is that they expect that the past is going to enlighten what is going to happen in the future. But climate risk is not at all like that. So climate risk is quickly materializing in every province, in every territory, with the destruction of essential infrastructure that maybe it was paid, maybe it was not paid, maybe it will affect other issues like agriculture, like the health of people, like the housing, or it will just, destroy a highway and that's it. But if you remember what happened in the Fraser River Valley, and at the same time, at the other corner of our nation, you had a hurricane going on, and we have the main artery of Canada broken at the two corners of our nation, disrupting supply chain, disrupting so many things. So the Bureau of Insurance just gave us what they are reimbursing. But I have asked, what is the total? What is the estimate of the total? And so far, nobody can tell me, but we all know that the Insurance Institute, Bureau Institute is just giving between 1/3 or 1/2 of the total cost. And at that specific moment in time, the problem with some of these events is that they have also long-term, medium-term effects that will bring costs. So at the same time, what it is very interesting, and to come to what Catherine is saying and about that we need to also reveal other type of news and study and work that is being done. Recently, I came to know a study done by Deloitte, which tells that those investors that have decided to invest on renewable energy or in sustainable projects have recouped very interesting benefits. The first time I heard this was 3 years ago when I went for a training course in Bonn, in Germany, with United Nations. And they told us at that time that for $1 invested in sustainability, in nature-based solution, in renewable energy, investors can receive between $10 and $30 benefits back. It is the return on their investment, but it also brings co-benefits with it. So I think we need to know more. And I don't know if Deloitte is going to publish this study, but if you can push Deloitte to publish it and show us, because the important thing with Deloitte is about Canada's experience and Canada's data on investment on sustainability and renewable energy. So this is important. With respect to my bill, yes. So it's now 2 years since I tabled it in the Senate, and it has been a bumpy road, and it had needed and required a lot of support from people like you guys. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. And it's true that I am an engineer, so I knew the science. It's true that I became a scientist and work on nature-based solutions. And so, yes, I know my background, but I am so amazed by how much the public and different fractions of the society are putting so much energy in learning, something that is out of their scope of their professional or their study or their normal life or usual life activities. So I'm very happy about that, and happy to tell that we have received support from finance institutions, think tanks, national and international, professional associations, Engineers Without Borders, the Physicians for the Environment, but also important figures such as the ex-commissioner of the U.S. Exchange Securities. Academics, more than 100 academics have written letters in support of the bill. And so all this pressure have helped. And I need to thank everybody and each one of you, because it has helped progress and put pressure on the senators, then on the banking committee, so that we listen to the problem. And so we become aware of what's going on and what we can do. So I know that CAFA, as we call it, CAFA, the S Bill 243, I know it's ambitious, but you know, when we work on it, it's now 3 years ago when we published our first white paper. It was ambitious at the time, but the time has passed and we are still lagging, and we are not having our green taxonomy. OSFI has put B15, which is a guideline that tells, well, initially was voluntary disclosure of the climate risk. Now he's saying, well, disclose for Scope 1, which is the direct emissions, Scope 2 very soon, and not yet at all Scope 3. While in Europe, they are already revealing Scope 3, which is the whole, all the included upstream emissions, which is very important for two sectors here in Canada. One, the oil and gas sector, and two, the financial sector. So one of my hypotheses while building CAFA was that the science has already given us the causes. We can choose to accept what science says or not, but in the big majority, we accept that. Engineers have produced many technologies, many technologies to that uses renewable energy to electrification purposes. And it is still funny to say that living in a nation as Canada with this huge coastline, we don't have even a prototype or a pilot project on wave or tidal energy. This is sad to say. Or that our solar, well, people can talk many things about solar, but solar is a very good technology even for Canada. But wind, let's take wind. So why it has not upscale as it should, having the potential for wind like we have in Canada. And this is why, this is because we have a capture by the oil and gas and the presence of this lobbying, very strong presence. And yes, there are so many places, you can Google it very easily and know how many times per week or per month politicians are lobbied by the oil and gas, but not only the oil and gas, but also by the big banks. So we have an oligopoly with the banks. We just have 5 big major banks. And even though the disinvestment trend, the disinvestment movement has been very important everywhere in the world, unfortunately, here in Canada, for every dollar that the disinvestment from schools, from universities, from religious organizations, when they have a step out of the fossil fuels, our big banks have been very quickly step in and close this gap. So we are not putting the money where we should. So our banks, when they should be putting $4 in renewable energy for $1 in oil or gas, they are doing exactly the opposite. They are putting $3.9 in oil and gas and only $1 in renewable energy. But as I said, they are losing money. And for example, the pension plans also is the same thing, but our pension plans are investing elsewhere in renewable energy. How I know that? I was in Mexico and I learned that our pension plans are constructing solar and wind energy projects in Mexico. Also, because I was in New York, I was in Mumbai, and I heard that our pension plans have offices in these big cities and that they are doing good projects in funding good projects in renewable energy and not enough here in Canada. And the reason is why is because there is no clear signals here. So we need to attract investors, but we are not giving clear signals because our partners and our business partners, they are ahead of us and our rules are not clear enough. The playing field is not level and is so, as every investor has told me, they need predictability, assurance of the stability on the policy, stability of the economy, and that encouragement of innovation. So if they don't have these, well, they prefer going elsewhere. So this is sad. At the same time, we are seeing also not only that the country's jurisdiction are moving, but also multilateral banks. I happen to see it in the network of parliamentarians in the World Bank, and they just change their mission. So they are not only going to be, their mission is not only to reduce poverty, but also they added that it has to happen in a livable planet. So I'm very happy, and they are working in green procurements and green financement. So this is very interesting. So just to complete, I am happy that CAFA has passed many steps. It's now still in the committee, but I think that we are educating everybody, including my colleagues, on this climate-related and on double materiality. This double materiality is important to understand, which is that the financial sector, on one hand, worries a lot on the extreme weather events, on the transition, the policy transition, and because they can bring risk to their business, but at the same time, they are pouring money into fueling the climate crisis. So we have to consider this double materiality. So we are happy that OSFI is doing timid steps going into the disclosure, but as I always say, disclosure it's not enough. Disclosure is just being transparent about the risks that I'm assuming, but it's not reducing the emission, and it's not moving the money from fossil fuels to renewable energy. I will keep you posted with any progress, And thank you so much. I hope I didn't take too much time, and I'm looking forward to your question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator Galvez. Questions, anyone?
Ma'am, have you seen any indication that the government is picking up on your ideas and that they might put forward legislation in the Commons?
Thank you so much for the question. And yes, so one thing that I forgot to say is that on the other place, on the House of Commons, there has been some very interesting movement. So first, let me tell you that at least 20 MPs supported and wrote letters and wrote couple of petitions in order to push the House of Commons to study and to come up with recommendations regarding sustainable finances. And that in parallel to what the government is doing with the task force and with the Canadian Sustainable Board. And so I'm very happy to say that I count with at least 20 MPs that are always in contact with me, and more, that these MPs belongs to 3 of the 4 parties in the other place. So I have representatives of the Liberal Party, of the Bloc Québécois, of the NDP, and am I missing one?
Green Party?
The Green Party, yes, of course, yes. And one more thing is that the Environmental Committee in the House of Commons decided to initiate their own study based on our white paper, based on our bill. And so right now they are hosting witnesses coming to talk on the matters of CAFA.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Thanks so much for taking time to meet with us. Through Citizens Climate Lobby, we've been very interested, of course, in reaching out to the various communities looking for support. And particularly, I'm interested in business communities. I'm a businessman myself, looking to see, you know, the conversation that I hear is that a lot of the business community is, you know, don't do that stuff. And yet I think of one industry that is very interested and at risk right now, and that's the insurance industry, because they're seeing themselves getting walloped really bad by climate change things, all these wildfires and hurricanes and tornadoes. My question to you, what other industries come to mind that you think might be sympathetic and want to be partners in our cause besides insurance?
You will be surprised that I have been contacted by the construction industry, and within the construction industry, the steel industry. The steel industry is one of the industries that has high emissions, but that they want to produce steel with lower carbon footprint. Aluminum industry has also come. They have a net zero goal. And what happened is that together with the reduction of their emissions, they are trying to go and to get into the circular economy for their specific metals. Like aluminum is recyclable to infinite time. Steel is recyclable infinite time. And so there is these co-benefits that I was talking about. It's very important. Some parts of the agriculture, small and medium-sized agricultural farms are very interested because they are producing organic products. And so all of these be in harmony with the environment, not use of pesticides, and becoming green is something that appeals to them. Depending on the province, I have great contacts with BC, for example. You know, Van City is a provincial investor, and they are supporters of CAFA. If I go also to Quebec, my province, so a couple of weeks ago was the Finance Summit organized by Fondation Montréal or Finance Montréal, And I was there in 3 events, and the movement that it caused, always together with the circular economy. It's so people in alimentation, in food, were there. People in tourism were there. People on social investment were there. So yes, the business, it's very interesting when the Senate invited the banks. They wanted to hear each bank. They sent the bank association. When we invited the oil and gas, they didn't want to come individuals. They sent the PAT Alliance. And when we invited some business, they sent the Business Council or the Chamber of Commerce. And that is very interesting because in those associations, the lobbying of the oil and gas, of the finance is so strong that they were so strong to say, no, we are not sending individual to talk on individual businesses. We are going to go and we're going to have a common front, which was, as you said, we don't want regulations. But we are writing op-eds and we are putting this out, so we tell the people what's going on.
Any questions online? Sorry about that, Senator.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question from Laura Lindberg. She says, I feel like the story of our banks investing in green projects in other jurisdictions, but not here, may be compelling. Where can we learn more about this?
Yeah, it's the pension plans is more evident. The banks, I don't have data for the banks, but I have read data from the pension plans, which I'm telling you that they have offices spread all over the world. I remember reading something about that they invest 80% outside and only 20 or 30% in Canada. But a lot of what is invested in Canada is going to the oil and gas. So again, you consult with Shift. Shift is a think tank that has done this study, has published many reports on the pension plans, but also one very important thing that Shift has revealed with a lot of data is how cozy the boards of the pension plans, of the fossil fuels, of the banks are there. These people just change chairs or sometimes sit at the same time in 2 boards. And so can you imagine somebody that sits in the board of an oil and gas and sits in the board of a pension plan? So, you know, there is this very, very pertinent question about where is his loyalty and where is his sense of fiduciary duty prioritized, with the bank, with the oil and gas, or with the pension, or the pensioners that will want to have their pensions not today but in 20 or 30 years. Without the financial sector, we won't move in our transition. That's how important it is. In fact, if the financial sector doesn't adhere to net zero 2050 now, all the other sectors are not going to get there, because all the other sectors need this net zero alignment to get there. So if the financial sector is not the first to do this jump and to recognize the critical need to invest in sustainability and align with our climate commitments, then it's going to be very difficult for the other sectors to do it by themselves alone.
Next question.
Thank you, Senator. It's Sanjeev Mathur. I had a question for you. It's a bit different. You just gave a perfect segue. It is very difficult for people, everyone in this room has to invest money, our own money for our futures. We all know that the banks are in all mutual funds and scattered throughout almost any product that most people would get when you just walk to a bank. The signals that have come out, as you already mentioned, from the government hasn't been strong enough to really create amazing green technology places to invest. So I was wondering if you could comment how Canadians can contribute to shifting the finances to support the climate movement.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the question. First is talk, ask your question. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Ask your questions. I have my finance advisor, of course, you know, and at the very beginning, he will avoid some of my questions. And then I start pushing and pushing. And then so he started pushing and pushing. So everybody is asking. So at the end, it gets to the bosses. Another thing that I can tell you is that I have asked to talk with every single of our banks. And so I have written to the CEOs who have sent me to their sustainable finances hubs or offices. And I have talked almost with all of them. And all of them agrees with what I'm saying. And many of them, of course, I cannot reveal their names or even the banks, but they have told me, we have sent our report, our conclusions, our recommendations to above. But then above is the boards. So then you understand why in CAFA we have a provision to stop this conflict of interest at the board level, because it is impossible. We are one person and we think in, and we cannot wear different hats when we are sitting at decision tables. I understand as a person, me, of course, I wear different hats. I'm an engineer, I'm a senator, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. And in order to live in equilibrium, I have to balance all of these hats. And my decisions are taking in consideration all of that. If somebody comes with a nice set of ethical rules that says that when you're sitting in this is what you reveal, this is what you do, when you're sitting in this is fantastic. But right now, there is nothing. So for me, and I think from best practices, from the ethical point of view, is to avoid the circumstances putting yourself at risk of being in conflict of interest, because there are benefits, monetary benefits in these decisions that they're taking.
Thank you very much. No other questions? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Take care, all of you. Hope to see you in person next time.
Senator, te agradecemos tu palabra, tu sabiduría y tu hercúlea esfuerzo en favor de todos los pueblos. Gracias, gracias, gracias de todos.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Miigwech.
Okay.